Hi there. In this video, we're going to see a young Hikaru Nakamura take on one of the top American grandmasters and hold the draw. Oh, hi, this is National Master Aaron Cooper, and we're here with another video about Hikaru Nakamura. And in this one, he takes on Gata Kamsky, who was one of the top American players at the time that this game was played, which was 2004. And Nakamura is well over 2200 at this point and is 14 years old, so still fairly young. So we join the action in this position. You'll notice that it's very similar to a London system because of the bishop on f4, but actually it started out as a torre with the bishop being on g5, and the bishop came back to f4. And Kamsky is well known for being an expert on the London system, so if you want to see some games in the London system, check out his streams that he does today. Okay, so let's see how this game progressed. So there was some maneuvering. White wants to open up lines in the center, establish a pawn in the center, and black follows suit. Look at the chaos in that center. Both sides wanting to open the lines and take claim to the center squares. And so, in the next few moves, black really improves his position right here with those queenside pawns just marching down the board, pushing white's army back. They look very threatening. So at this point, Kamsky must have known that he was worse and would have to shake things up by playing very dynamically and aggressively. He has to stir it up. Fortunately, he has this strong e-pawn that he's able to push all the way down to e7. So his hopes lie in that e-pawn. Now, the bishop could come back here, but then there would be a fork and white would have to sacrifice the bishop that way. Kamsky decides to get two pawns for the piece in a different manner. First a check, then taking on b5, followed by knight takes d4. So it's not so clear here. White has a very strong pawn on e7 and two pawns for the piece. So there's still some game left to be played. With best play, black should win this, but not so easy in practical play. So the next few moves, we have trade of minor piece and the queens. And normally this should favor the side that's ahead, because when you're ahead, you want to trade pieces, reduce your opponent's attacking chances, and therefore your piece majority will be that much greater with less pieces on the board. So Kamsky tries to generate some counterplay against the weak black pawns. Nakamura correctly decides not to go for the threefold repetition. And Hikaru has enough of that pawn on e7 that he decides to give up both the a pawn and the c pawn. And so right here, there is a mistake by Nakamura. He should probably defend the rook here, because in the next move, by doing it this way, both rooks are doubled up, and that bishop is going to be in trouble, potentially with b4, b5 ideas, and this rook is undefended. Nakamura has a nice idea in mind. Rook d8. What a fantastic move. Giving up the bishop, knowing that he's going to get the other bishop in return. Watch how this works. So rook takes bishop, check. And the incredible knight takes f3. What a move. The point being that if the rook takes the knight, rook takes the other rook, and that is an exchange up for black. And that should be holdable, despite the fact that these two pawns are passed. Black's rooks are so active that especially this rook should be able to win one of those pawns, or at least slow them down. So white takes the other way. This is check. King has nowhere to go. Has to give up the bishop on g3 so that the king can go out. And at this point, white is up a pawn. However, this game is drawn. White's king is just too weak, and the black rooks are too active. And let's see how Nakamura holds the draw here. Checking the king. Another check. And then two rooks on the 7th. So these are very active rooks. Not only are they looking at the A pawn, but potentially harass the king. While white's rooks are very sad. They're only defending this sad looking A pawn. So there were a few other maneuvers with the rooks. But then Nakamura found a really nice concept. Check. And moves the king over and now lines up the rooks. And he's going to march white's king up the board. Check. The king cannot escape the checks. So Kamsky decides to go all the way. Unfortunately, the black king will harass the white rook. And the players agreed to a draw. And the point being that if white were to move, say, here with the rook, well, then black would use this rook to check the white king to and fro and get a perpetual that way. So an incredible game by 14-year-old Hikaru Nakamura, holding the draw against Gata Kamsky. He had the advantage early on, but the game got dynamic, and he managed to hold the draw in the end with some very precise and active play. So hey guys, if you like that, give me a like, subscribe to the channel below, and leave a comment and give me some feedback on how things are looking in this channel. So until next time, bye for now, and stay tuned for more Nakamura videos in the future.